Those are the greatest people in the world.
Much entertainment return for your dollar.
This is no way to tell stories. This is not how to do comic books. This is not fun.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Well, I gotta tell you, without fans, the whole entertainment business would fade away.
Welcome to another Comic Talk. It is great to be with you, and with me, another great guest. He's back in the house again. Angry Canadian, how are you, my brother?
Doing great. Long time no see, and I'm glad that I'm back to be able to talk more comics with you. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you gave us a little treat in between. In December, we were able to get with you and James to hear about Tokyo Comic Con. We brought Gray in as well for a little commentary, and just the idea of us being able to live vicariously through you was really amazing. So thanks for all that. And yeah, it was great. So you were able to pick up a few comics during that show. We talk regularly about some different things, and you're now rocking and rolling through doing Lego stuff. So folks, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. The links are there in the description to connect to AC. It's a fun time. It's a fun time for sure. So the one that you told me about, that I obviously, if anyone is around my age, they will know about Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. And the irony is, AC, you're not the only person. Like someone else, I believe it's Ironcaster, who picked up a copy of this as well. So was it just because of the love of dinosaurs that you found this one?
Actually, it's because I've played the video game back when I was a kid. My very first console was a Nintendo 64, and one of the games I got on there was Turok. And at the time, I had no idea who the character was. Just I knew you had to. Well, while you're playing the game, you're just killing dinosaurs and creepy bugs, and you're running around with like high tech, alien tech almost. And it was a pretty cool game. But I didn't realize until actually it was probably this past year that it was based off of a comic, or at least the character comes from a comic series. And so when I saw this at Tokyo Comic Con, I was like, well, one, I got to buy this because it's a dinosaur art, and I'm a sucker for some decent dinosaur art. And two, actually the version I got is really nice. That square image or rectangle image in the middle is like a foil or like a metallic,
chromium.
Chromium. It's really cool looking. So yeah.
This is we'll get to some history of Valiant a little bit here for you, but yeah, Golden Age character. You have sort of like the Native American perspective on things. You have Dave Michelini, who's a famous co-creator with Todd McFarlane on Venom. He's the writer behind some of the great, amazing Spider-Man run that McFarlane was on. Bart Sears, who's just, he's got a legendary list of great art, things like that. Just beautiful, beautiful work here. And I know when you got to a panel like this, you had to just be like, wow, I'm all in.
Yes, it was awesome to see this, and the more I kept reading, the more I was impressed with the art, and it was in the story, of course, but it's just beautiful. Look at this shot right here, where they're like fighting in this futuristic city. I like how he's not afraid to chisel on the abs on Turok here, unlike almost every panel. It's cool. The detail is really cool.
And they give him like their other characters in the background here on the right and the bottom, they're hairy backs, so like literally have drawn in enough for you to know how hairy these individuals are. There's that's not armor or anything like that. So
yes.
Then you get into sexy ladies, because yes, we do have sexy ladies in this book. So the story, which could be a little confusing for some of you who don't know kind of the context of the book or anything like that, Valiant Comics was started in 1991 by Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter is one of the famous former Marvel editors-in-chief. He's kind of the one that really was running the show to get Marvel into like retail world. He's given a lot of credit for being no nonsense, holding them to deadlines, things like that. But he was able to get comic books in the hands of people like me, like at a convenience store, in a market, those kinds of things. That sort of like newsstand approach has he gets a lot of credit for that. Now, of course, Marvel had gone through, tumultuous financial times, up and down and sideways. And during this time, Shooter had left and he started his own company. he has some financial backing here. And what they did was they tapped, and there's a credit on. Let me pull that book up real quick. Let me stop that screen. So the first book in the Valiant relaunch is called Magnus. So Magnus Robot Hunter. And these are characters that already existed. These are already someone else's IP. He got permission. So this is the first book. It came out in 91. And in the book, there's a brief little, and you can see, you're going to be impressed by the art as well, right? Because I mean, look at this, the shadows and the details and all this robot collateral damage is what we loved about this era, right?
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of has a little bit of a story here. He kind of gives you the backstory of what's going on, and then here is the thank you, published during the 1960s, illustrated by Russ Manning, and then it's a thank you to Richard Bernstein, giving them the opportunity. So he gave them the license and the permission to do this story, and you kind of ended with just a 4-part story. It was sort of like under the radar. Like at the time, most of us, I don't remember knowing anybody who was like in on day one and loving this. I think it took a little bit for people to find it and be aware of how really good it. Look at the intricacies of this, the detail of this. Yeah. So Magnus the Robot Hunter is the first part of the story. It was a success for them. They had a lot of luck doing that. This happened during 91. By the fall, they added another title called Solar Man of Atom. Now that's when I found it, because I actually knew who Solar was. It was just one of those cool design, cool characters, things like that. And they basically just story by story, artist by artist, character by character, built a universe. Okay. So that's kind of the backstory of what's happening here. And Jim Shooter wrote the story on Magnus. He didn't do the art, but he did the story. So when we come back over here to Turok, we pull Turok back up. Turok, here we go. So in this image, here we go. We have Turok front and center, and he's telling the story. He's explaining a little bit about what's been going on in the Valiant Universe. Like, you didn't have to know this, because I think you weren't even aware of all this. So you enjoyed the story, not knowing some of the history, right?
Yeah, it was actually because when I started reading it, he was starting recounting like like catching us up, right? The reader, and it wasn't complicated to understand. Like it was really well written out, like what was happening, and it focused obviously more on Turok and like what was happening, and
Right.
I didn't get confused at all. I was like, okay, cool. Like he's stuck in this world or whatever, and now he's like trying to survive and fight this one bad guy, the main bad guy. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So references to Unity down here we have in this panel. You have on the far right Exo Man of War. You have Bloodshot. You have all this stuff happening in here. This is tying it to that bigger universe. But at the same time, like you said, this isn't that. We're not going to derail. We're going to keep Turok having his own story, his own journey. And look at the storytelling. This is just, you can just tell that these are professionals that have been doing this a very long time. Dave Michelini is telling a tight story, and the art just moves you like cinematically, like Jurassic Park, right? I mean, this felt just like you were immersed into those type of shots.
Yeah, it was amazing how quickly we went through this backstory, and then because the very first image of this comic is him sitting by the campfire, so we take a moment to go through the backstory of like Turok, and then boom, we're back right to that very first image with him, and he's about to get pounced by Monarch, and there was like no time wasted, and it was. Yeah, actually, I like how you said very cinematic. Like you just actually, I got lost. I never really get lost reading a comic, but I did get lost reading this comic. As far as being immersed in the comic, like whoa. Next thing I know, I finished the book, and I'm like, well, that's it. I need to go find the next issue now.
Well, that is great to hear, because this is what was happening during this era. They were doing that with all of these different characters, these classic characters. It was something different, and it's sort of like what we're experiencing now with the indie comic movement that we're seeing, and them trying to find licensed IP or something else we could tap into. Shooter kind of like jumped the time build up on that because he picked characters that already existed. They had lore, and as long as he was faithful to that, these creators were more than happy to work with him on that. And it was exceedingly popular for a while. I think it was Matt, Unbearable 73, who told me how he was at a show and made a comment. I don't think it was the shooter, but I think it was other folks. And they were like, this is incredible. I'm sure you guys are doing great. The fact that you have this great, healthy demand going right now. And he made a joke about there not being like storage units of extra copies of all these. Well, come to find out, they did. They actually had printed millions of copies. So, like, so the failure of Valiant is the overproduction of Valiant. So, by the time you're getting to Turok, we've already kind of had its peak because you've had 2 years, right? So Valiant's already existed for, all of 91. It kind of exploded by the end of 90. It exploded at the end of 91 into 92. And of course, that's the heyday that we talk about all the time, right? 92, 93, when you and I've talked about like Death of Superman or Nightfall and Spawn and X-Men. And so that's what's happening simultaneously. Everyone's wanting comic books. So they added all those titles. So you added like 8, 9, 10 titles in this universe, crossover stuff, things like that. And they did some great stuff. I mean, obviously, people to this day talk regularly about the Predator crossover. They got a license to do that, things like that. By the time you get to Turok, though, you're kind of at the end of the run where the financial stuff is starting to come to bear, where it's like, what's going to happen next? But I'm glad that you brought up that you were so immersed in it, because I know when I reflected on and reread this, that's kind of how I felt too. It just made me want to read another issue.
Yeah, and it's a shame that there was only this one issue at the comic booth at Tokyo Comic Con, because I want to see if I can find some trade paperbacks so I can have like the full collection, because there's like 67 issues in total, so getting a full like collection trade paperback wouldn't be too difficult. I would hope, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is this. Well, first off, let me say it shouldn't be for us in America hard to find these and find them inexpensively because they were so massively produced. So that was the problem. It wasn't totally that people didn't like it. Is during that era, it was this weird speculator spin market where people wanted the number one issues, but then they didn't read or collect them. They didn't even open them. But they were just overprinting so many books. And like I said, I remember having a long box of these. I think I gave them to my son-in-law, of Valiant. Just I had read them. I've kind of been through them a couple times, and he had never. And I think I gave them all to him. I don't even know if they still have them or not. You know what I mean when I say long box, like the
Yes,
the
sir.
long.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
with as many like how many do you guys typically fit in a long box?
Couple hundred.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite a bit then.
Yeah. Number of comics in long box. I think it's like 200. Yeah, 200, 225. I try not to overfill it. If it were for me personally, and I collect they're for me in my personal collection, my PC, I tend to double bag them, which means I have like number one. Well, number one I usually keep by itself, but like I'll put number two and then I'll put number three on the back of the bag so it stays super, super snug. You know what I mean? Because they're for like long-term storage at that point. So it's
Yep.
a new bag, it's a new board. They're all snugged up in there, and I can get it. But the problem with that is these long boxes get so heavy. I'm too old for that, AC. I'm too old. You call me old man pops, and I get it. I do not have long boxes now. I have moved over to plastic short boxes. So, but yeah, this is issue number 2, and as you can see, they did not. They're not going to disappoint you on art, right? Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, it's like you could tell the texture of the clothing to the texture of the dinosaur itself. I mean, everything like clearly this is all hand drawn, unlike some of the stuff nowadays. But uh, yeah, it's just this art alone is what brings me to the comic. I mean, the story's really cool. I mean, this Native American guy is like thrown into like this weird world where there's like dinosaurs and aliens and stuff and robots and stuff, and he's like fighting them with just like um, a bow and arrow. Well, he got the special bow from the one of the main characters, but yeah, he's just like on the ground doing all this crazy stuff, and he's not even like a superhuman to my knowledge. He's just a regular guy that's like really good at surviving in this harsh environment. So it's a really cool story, and like I said, the art is amazing. I want to keep reading it if I had some more physicals of it.
I just wanted to give you a contrast of this is Greg Pak's run in, I believe, 2014. Yeah, 2014. So you can see what happens, 20 something years later. This is Turok, 20 something years later.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you can see how digital is being used. And I think now when you can see it, again, I know people say this, and this is beautiful. I mean, I'm not
That
trying
is
to say
nice. Yeah.
that's not beautiful. It is, right? So Mirko Kolak and Corey Smith did that. I get it. I get that. That is beautiful. But here's what we get.
Yeah. What is this? Like, yeah, that I don't get that.
Why did we get this based on a story that's tied to what we were just looking at, and now this is what we got? And we're the problem. Look, remember how I talked about the other guys in the background with Turok and how they have like the hair on their back or whatever. Look at this. They barely had. This guy's face looks like it's upside down. He has a dot, and then there's two lines. I guess that's supposed to be his mouth, but the lines aren't even connected.
It's lazy. It's just lazy.
Look how bad that is. And then this is the rest of the art, which again, I didn't think this was. It's not awful. But I think what you were saying earlier about you can tell it's hand drawn. This feels like this. Okay, this isn't bad, right? I don't totally hate this guy's art, the art, but it doesn't feel as real and alive as the other one did.
Yeah, and not to nitpick, but his hairstyle is like atrocious for me. I don't know what they're trying to go here, like this, like half shaved or bald, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know if that's like an actual Native American haircut, but he looked perfectly fine with the long hair in the original series. So I don't know why they didn't just keep that.
I don't know what if they're. Oh, I see. They may have given him a mohawk. I don't know. Look at the weird hair here. Like they have all sorts of weird hair designs. Yeah. So again, this is the compare and contrast a little bit. And this is 2014, so this isn't like brand new. And I will say I mentioned briefly XO Man of War. I only got through it for a few issues and I just got distracted. I never hated it. It's sort of a Thor meets Iron Man. It's a dude in a suit, but he has like an AI suit. I think you'd like XO Man of War because of the Halo feel. It definitely has a little bit of the Halo vibe of like the guy, AI talking to him or whatever. And that new version had some really, really good art and some good storytelling. I just got distracted and didn't have it accessible. I've had a harder time finding those issues because someone asked me for copies and I don't have physical copies now. I can't find them. And when I do find them, they're like $5 to $6 a piece. Plus you have to ship them, right? So shipping is not cheap. So it becomes like, am I supposed to ask somebody to pay me, $8 a book because I can't find them? Like, that's not fair. I don't want to do that to somebody. So if you're still looking for certain books, then let me know. I know you're in Japan, so I don't know how to help you because we've had that conversation many, many times.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this other stuff that you found. Now, this was cool because I don't know anything about this. So I was really thrilled to find this. So this is a Marvel comic under their Epic banner. And it's just called Dinosaurs, A Celebration, which, again, this is why you bought it right there. Look at that. That is incredible detail. This with the paint on the freaking tongue and the blood stains on the teeth.
The teeth, yeah.
Man, I sure would love to have the original art of that cover.
Oh yeah. Even black and white. I think the black and white probably would have looked really cool too.
We could never afford the color version, brother. I'm telling you right now, that would be. I mean, the black and white's probably going to be at least $1,000, but the color version is probably more like $5,000 or more. So, but yeah, you threw this out there. I had not seen this. Is a quick scan of going through this. It felt very. You called it like a Nat Geo thing.
Yeah, it's like reading a Nat Geo like magazine but it's in comic form. And yeah, as you're scrolling through here, what they do in here, they have like these like scientific type explanations, like talking about like I guess the different dinosaurs in that period, um, the feeding habits, or it's just like why it has a certain design to it or whatever, like their thoughts on it. And of course, it's accompanied with like this beautiful art here. Um, like no two dinosaur looks the same, which makes it like even better. And then immediately following after that, you have like this little story about following a creature and like an inner monologue of the creature, like what it's trying to do. So like this guy right here is like trying to catch food, but he's getting hunted. And then like he thinks he's fine safety here, and then unfortunately like something happens to
That's
him.
great.
It's awesome. And all of this is like inner monologue too, so it's even funnier. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is because we know that there's a partnership between like the big two and schools to get educational, getting comics to schools. And the criticism I usually have, and many other people, I mean, I'm hardly alone with this thought process, is it's where all these agenda comic books end up going, like things that are very race swapped or things that are they're full of a lot of social commentary. This seems like the kind of comic that needs to be in schools, right? Because this is what we get a kid to read.
Oh, 100%. If I had this in elementary school, especially like from the Scholastic Book Fair,
Yep.
I would have bought like all of them. It would have drove my parents nuts, like coming home with all these dinosaur comics instead of like a wide variety of comics or
Look what
books.
it would have done for your vocabulary. Animals of all sizes come here, from the greatest to the smallest, from the mammoth, uh, Nemegtosaurus, to the Opisthocolocaudia, to the lower Oviraptor. The lake is large, the picking's good. There is even an abundance of shellfish for the minuscule hunter to feed on, his short, strong beak and powerful jaws easily capable of crushing the hard shells. Could you imagine an elementary school kid knowing what minuscule means?
Yeah, maybe like the smartest kid in class.
That's how my daughter, because she ended up in gifted and whatever, and that's part of it, because she liked to read and she would just look up words she didn't understand. That's what I did when I was a kid. And it's like, well, if you didn't know what it meant, here's the dictionary. Go look them up, and you eventually just expand your vocabulary. But look at that! Like, I mean, you had to be in heaven, because I know you're a dinosaur guy anyway. But you're getting a nice sort of serving of different dinosaurs in different settings.
Yeah, and like I said, I actually skipped over the scientific explanation because I just wanted to see the storytelling. But I'll go back and read the sciencey stuff later. But the stories are amazing. They're short. They're like 1 or 2 pages long, and a lot of times they're funny too. And yeah, like the art style changes too. So I'm assuming they had a lot of people actually working on these comics as well. Unfortunately, it looks like based off of online, there's four in the
Yeah, there's
series, and I only
4
have
of
three
these.
out of the four. So I got to
Yeah,
find that fourth one.
yeah. So let's see. Steve White, Anthony Williams, Henry Flint did it some. Then you've got Steve Hambridge. So yeah, different folks. Phil Gasconi. So yeah, a lot of different folks worked on this. I didn't see. Well, I don't want to get to the bottom. I was just curious of when they came out or how old they are. But yeah, I thought this was interesting. It's sort of like a scholastic educational comic, but with like an interesting. Oh man, look at the art here. It's a completely different style.
Yes, yes.
Whoa.
It's almost like a was it anthropology or anthology? Sorry, anthology, where it's like just different art styles with different stories. Yeah, it's really neat.
It's an anthropological anthology. I see what you did there. Yeah, completely different style. Yeah, this is him running. This is from this little guy's point of view. He runs to the light where the heat envelops him in a choking blanket and the meltwater scalds. He flees between extremes of death, ripping teeth, charring fire. There is nowhere to run, only places to turn and perish. That is great.
I love the look on their faces too. Like they're a little bit comical. Like that panel right there. He's just like the blue
Oh, the
dinosaur.
eyes are a little
Yeah, he's
extreme.
just in
Yes.
shock.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really fascinating. And these weren't really expensive, right?
No, they were actually even the Turok comment. They were all like 500 yen, which is like 350 US
Okay.
dollars, roughly $4.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Here in the States, folks, check those back bins. Go to your local comic shops. Look for, the back issues on something like this. If you can find them, hopefully you can find them. You should go get a good deal. This isn't, there's no demand. There's not a massive. They should be. They should be in freaking schools, because that's something like that would be really well received, and that would be one of the benefits. I've told you, right? I think I've told you. That's how I learned to read was out of comic books.
Yes, yeah, you and a lot of people that I've met, comic just reading from this, because you're drawn to it, right, with the art, and then of course once you learn some simple words and you're dissecting the story, then you want to read more, so you start learning more words. I mean, I understand completely because I've done that with other types of media as well. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So, folks, we love your recommendations and comments, things like that. Enjoy having you here for Comic Talk. So, I want to get AC one last time. He's not into this too far. I think I'm about where he is, but I thought it was fun because we can definitely touch on it briefly because it kind of ties back to what we were talking about with like 90s feel of comics as well. But one of the things that you definitely are enjoying, that would be Ghost Rider.
Oh yes.
So, and spoiler alert for anybody who wants to know. Yeah, these two issues. This issue 26 and 27. I have at least one copy of. Yeah, I buy graded copies of these because these are Jim Lee covers. They're so beautiful. That's incredible. I don't have them handy. If we'd prepared this part, I would have had one. I would have brought one out. So yeah, this is a crossover story. Jim Lee cover art. Oh, look at the ads. Sony, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, here's our art. Never ceases to. This is the issue that you're on, right?
Yes, because I haven't started reading this yet, so it doesn't look familiar to me.
Yeah, I just want to get to when the X-Men show up. Oh, look at that. I always get so excited when I see it. There's her ad. Oh man, cool world. Boy, that takes me back. So where are you guys showing up? There they are. So this will be one of your early looks on 90s X-Men too. With Beast, Gambit, Cyclops, Psylocke, Jubilee, Wolverine in the back smoking a cigar, of course. They're all showing up. Yeah. He just I love the fact that the comics are so absurd because they let Wolverine do things that would totally get him arrested. Like it would just be a perpetual state of being a fugitive. So awesome. Yeah, this is issue number 26. This is issue number 27, where you have them on the cover in a more dynamic pose. And I think on the bottom of the last issue, because it crosses over into X-Men number, I believe it's number 9. I'm gonna go to the bottom. Well, let me stop sharing so I don't give everybody some sort of like motion sickness when you scroll, because it is rather extreme. Oh, we like to look at ads though. Yeah, let me pull it back up so you can see the ad. You're not gonna believe this. This is fun. A walk through the 90s with Pops. Here we go. Yeah, issue number 9. Notice the references. Yeah. Look, you can buy comic books for 96 cents.
That's insane.
This is for 12. This is your 12 issue subscription page when you would order subscriptions and mail them to your house. Yep. And this is the basketball, the junk era wax packs. There you go. With this is Dominique. This is Mutombo. I don't know why they're talking about Dominique on. Oh, it is both people. Yeah, and then here's the other company doing their baseball. Because you can see, my point of bringing this up is you guys can see how intertwined sports cards and comic books were during that time. Like the collectible stuff got very interwoven together very rapidly. There wasn't like it feels like the sports card people are not into comics and the comic people are not into sports. but back then it would be more common that people were just into stuff like this. So, and here's the same ad for a different company's baseball. So, but yeah, very good stuff. Very good stuff. You mentioned the we'll go back to the very beginning before we close, because you mentioned that you found Turok through the video game, which would probably call Acclaim. Bought them.
I'm not sure on that. You said Acclaim or
Yeah, Acclaim bought Valiant. So I was just curious. It was a Turok video game.
yeah, so it was developed by Propaganda Games, and it was published by. This is interesting. It was published by Disney Interactive Studios. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a newer game. My bad. If we go back to the original, the first game, let me make sure I get this right.
N64, right?
Yes, sorry. It's called Turok Dinosaur Hunter Iguana Entertainment. Yeah, I remember because like when you launch the game, you have like this jungle music playing, and then you see like an arrow flying through the screen, and it hits like this sign that has an iguana on it. And like I don't know why, but that scene alone for just showing like the company logo always creeped me out because like you have the jungle sounds. I don't know. The game it's really impressive. Like I was a kid, like how it like just scared me while trying to play it. Anyways, yeah. So I'm trying to see what else here, but apparently it was adapted by
It's
Valiant
Acclaim.
Comics.
Yeah, Acclaim. So Acclaim bought Valiant Comics. So they.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So 94, I think. It didn't last long. So it was either right after. Let me see if it will tell us when they bought them. I don't see it, but they bought them in, I think, 93, 90. No, there we go, 94. Yeah. They bought Acclaim and started doing these adaptations, which is great because it got to folks like you, right? It's made massive fans. And then later on in life, you're like, oh, man, there's comic books too. So sadly, Acclaim didn't last long because they had other technical issues that happened within a year or two after this. And what happened is, by the time you get to 2004, they're broke because
Wow.
they lost the WWF contract. They ended up losing baseball. It just, it was a run and it was great, but and they were doing so many amazing things. They did this. I know Stone Cold Loki talked to me about it because there's like these VHS games. You put the VHS tape in and play. So there's all sorts of different things that they were experimenting with at that time that were super, super cool. But they ended up in bankruptcy and you know how it is too. If a company keeps getting bigger, while there can be successes from that, that also means you're more vulnerable to the weakest people, the weakest links in the chain, right? So somebody didn't deliver a deadline, someone frustrated you. And I'm sure you've been there, right? You thought you were going to get this game at a certain time, and now it got delayed, or there's a big glitch with it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, my friend. That's awesome. I know you're not eager to run out and grab the new comics or anything like that, but is there anything else that's sort of like you got your eye on?
I'm slowly keeping up with Gunslinger Spawn. Honestly, depends on when like people like you or Wakizashi's Tea House drops a review. I'll go and read it. One of these days, I like to still buy the trade paperback. I just got to figure out how I'm gonna get that out here. But besides that, yeah, I think I'm gonna dive into this Turok comic line. I guess I'll just have to read it online. But I appreciate you and Gray, I should say, introducing me to comics, and then like when I went to the comic booth over there at Tokyo Comic Con, I was just curious to see what they had there, and I luckily saw that Turok comment, so now I'm invested after that first issue, and I'm going to try to keep reading that.
Yeah, there are some real popular dinosaur comics, so I'm interested to see, how you like this one, how long you like it, whatever the case may be, and then whatever else you start finding. Have you ever seen the Jurassic Park adaptations?
Yes, a long time ago. I think in my early days of watching YouTube, I used to watch like random comic videos on YouTube, and they went over the Jurassic Park comics. I liked them because I thought the art was cool, but more importantly, the story was slightly different. I think it followed more of the book, I want to say. I might be wrong though, but yeah, I am familiar with that. I like to reread them again if I can.
Yeah, let's share with people briefly. Tops kind of helped write the check here to get this adaptation done. They brought in some top killer talent. This is Walt Simonson, Gil Kane, George Perez, who is just a goat. So they bought in some great stuff and bought in some people. It's based on the screenplay, based on the novel. And here you go. So a different sort of feel than the Turok book, but still fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and it's just like one of those things where you can read it after watching the movie, and then you just another form of like Jurassic Park goods you can consume and really enjoy at home.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to try to see what the T-Rex looked like. It's our helicopter. It's probably going to be the next issue.
I think it's issue 3 because it's showing that on the issue 3 cover.
Right. Let's get to issue 3. Here we go. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. So, all right, folks. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Appreciate talking comics. Appreciate you, AC, for being here with me. Everything is in the description. Make sure you connect me with him. And we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Thank you so much, AC.
Yeah, no problems. Thanks.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Now the Power Rangers are going from the box office to the box. New Power Rangers Jell-O with a Power Rangers movie trading card inside. Only from Jell-O, where the power is on.
Our double feature continues with martial arts action at its best. A group of students have mastered the art of Kung Fu and put their awesome power to evil use. The 5 Deadly Venoms. Next, here on Channel 5.
All right, Channel 5 indeed, which is a great joke because of the work by Jay Harang over in the UK, and then Channel 5 is where they dump the Hallmark and the crappy movies. So, well, there you go, guys. Hopefully you had some fun with that. A great conversation with AC. Thank you, brother, for hanging out with me. If I can get another guest in lined up for next week, maybe one of you guys want to join me next week for we'll just do Comic Talk completely live next week because I supposed to have somebody lined up. And of course, I have some major studio issues and things like that. Hence, the reason it's all Avatar all the time right now. That's just how it is. But yeah, commercials are kind of fun. I enjoy throwing that in there. Kind of a great way to get it up to about a little over 30 minutes. Kind of gets a little bit of that prep time for me. I can get myself organized and stuff like that. And I want to make sure I thank you again. My brother Brian, thank you, Nerporio, for that $2. When AC is going to do his Watcher Story, we're gonna get that done. That's good. He's coming in for some comic talks. We're going to do a little bit of the AC stuff. Probably wait till he's out of school, get a little break. We get him for a good length of time. We're not going to be rushed or anything like that. So, and hopefully by then I can get some sort of studio space lined back up again, so I have a way to be on camera with you guys. I don't even have a way to do my own show until. Hence the reason the members are going to be in here. Welcome. So. But thank you again, Nerporio. I appreciate it so much. As we were talking about, keeps the lights on, man. Keeps the lights on. So, all right, my head pops off. We're gonna go comic book. I'm a massive Green Arrow fan. Massive Green Arrow fan. Mike Grell, Green Arrow, Longbow Hunters, his run. I had every single issue. I still have. I actually got my graded copy. Basically can't sell it for nothing. Nobody wants to buy a thing. I know it's really strange to me, but love look, and this was politics in comics back then. He's an environmentalist, but he's like the environmentalist of like the guy who loves nature. You know what I mean? Hunting is only for food. He's connected with the Native Americans and stuff like that. Okay. Now, when they did Dawn of DC and they did this Green Arrow book, it was kind of a flashback book. They went back and it didn't really matter too much about what's going on. They kind of had this sequence, as you can see, kind of like a walk through the history of Green Arrow. This was this great way to kind of like figure out like these are the other characters in the universe, and they kind of introduced them all. I wasn't particularly thrilled about their designs, but it gave you different backstory. Like if you've never read Green Arrow, it was like, okay, that's a great way to how to jump in, right? And the story is kind of like this multiversal thing. And by the way, yes, those of you who know, I am so over DC's obsession. Oh, both Marvel and DC, but DC's just this brutal obsession with this color palette of
pink, purples, magentas, light blues, greens. I just cannot stand all this. See, look how good they do Roy. This is Arsenal, Roy Harper. But look, they take panels off. This guy does not have a face. Look, poor Roy in this panel. Wish I could make it bigger. Let me see if I can get how big I can make it. It's kind of weird when you do this digitally. Yeah, he doesn't really have. Let's see, go all the way to this look. He doesn't really have details. There's 2 dots, a couple squiggles. I can't stand this taking panels off crap. Okay. Anyway, long story short, we kind of cruise along, and then in between that issue and this one, I think it was this one. Night Terrors. They stop doing their books, and they do a little special thing. It wasn't even Halloween, so it lost all the momentum. It made me so frustrated. I couldn't believe what was happening. So they tie in all sorts of other crazy stuff. So let me fast forward for you guys why I lost my mind. So jump ahead to issue number 7. Again, notice the pinks, purples, whatever. Freaking Amanda. I'm so sick of Amanda Waller. We're gonna get to her in a minute. We have this whole big thing, and it's like who's been dead and what's been going on. He's got this big thing about I'm back. The Justice League's not here. I'm rich. I'm like, oh, this is so off-putting of rich Oliver Queen. Like, okay, what's going on? And I kid you not, this whole big spiel, all this nonsense. We come down here to the very end, and we're going to have a shooting. I know. We see some different things that are actually happening. It's not the worst thing in the world, but here's what they do. They break it. They break all the rules with me here. We go along, we do something, and the next thing you know, dude shows up, and it's not even in this issue. It's in the next issue. Oh my God. I thought he shot him in this issue. Okay. Never mind. Sorry. Let's jump ahead. So that's how it ended. And then this issue, which this cover is, oh, I hate the cover. He's shot, and actually he's dead. And we flash back to him shooting and getting shot. Okay. And by the way, this is just this horrible design thing that I can't stand with the color, things like that. Here. So he's dead, right? And it's like, I'm sad, Dad, and I'm gonna avenge you, and I'm gonna figure all this out. And he's doing all this stuff. We fast forward to when we're gonna have our big action sequence, and it's like, oh wait, you got me, blah blah blah. Oh wait, I'm gonna shoot you. So you're not dead. Oh no, he's not dead either because Ollie just shows up out of nowhere because he's not dead. This ridiculous back and forth. Who's dead, when they're not dead, all this fake storytelling nonsense, it makes my head hurt. I don't know about anybody else. I am so sick and tired of writers not having a plan of what they're actually doing, having it make sense. What's a story arc? Do they have a story arc? Why are these characters there? Can you say it better? Does anything have stakes? It's just a hodgepodge freaking mess. And I was so appalled. It's like, oh, I'm out. I'm done. And I can't stand this design. I just can't stand this design. I can't stand it. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so he wasn't really shot. Well, he was shot, but he wasn't hurt. So it's just like, and then the art, look at how this thing that AC and I were talking about earlier. Look at the digital art. It's very flat, it's very generic. This is why they're all going to get replaced by AI, because this stuff is the AI stuff that they could do. This isn't anything interesting or dynamic, or you feel like has the oomph that you get from those 90s books that we were looking at. And it's just this big black back and forth, whatever. And I couldn't stand it. So then the big twist, of course, is all of this doesn't matter because he works for Waller now. So the big baddie is Amanda Waller. So if you haven't been reading comic books, DC is somehow obsessed with having Amanda Waller literally everywhere. Like she's in all sorts of books. They literally are trying to make her relevant in everything. If it's Suicide Squad, it's Peacemaker. I think she's in the Wonder Woman book. There's something else. And I was like, oh, I don't care. She's on one of the variant covers. I'm like, oh, seriously? So anyway, I'm not sure what all you guys are reading. That was the one thing I wanted to share was my grievances about the freaking Green Arrow nonsense. I just couldn't believe. I can't believe because it's just we're in this era where everything is just bad. But A couple things you guys were talking about during there, so kind of fun. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, Nurporio asked, "Is there a Jim Henson's Dinosaurs comic?" Yes, there is. There's a 1990s one. I mentioned it briefly there. Marv Wolfman did one of the books. I don't know exactly why I remember that, but yeah, he did. That's why I met Marv Wolfman. He's one of my favorites. He was kind of in that early influential phase for me to be into this. He wrote Teen Titans. He was integral in doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was just this huge thing back when things mattered. So, yeah, okay, cool stuff. I'm always loving the stuff from the childhood. Yeah, hopefully you guys do enjoy that. It's a lot of fun doing that, right? Yeah, Bob Ross, baby, that's right. I have so many Watch Your Stories to catch up on. Cool. Zach's has a great one. Zach's Watch Your Story was, I got a lot of messages about that one. Zach's is a man. He's a boss, man. And we connect. Like, you know what? This is what happened. This is what I went through. This is what was going on. And that's it. That's what this is about, man. Share our story. Hopefully it'll help people out. So, but yeah, I agree with Zach's. Jacob Ironsides is personal. And I was blown away. He was great. He was a great guest. I wanted to talk to him for a while about that. And I'm glad we were able to do it. So, and what are stakes now? Yeah, I know. It's almost like subverting expectations is the thing, and stakes just don't matter. And prequels take that right off the page for me. Like anytime we do a prequel, I'm always kind of like, well, are there really stakes or not? Like if you could do a prequel that is so far out that it doesn't impact, like if the Star Wars prequels were far enough back that, other than Obi-Wan and Yoda, there was no major way to screw up what was going to happen with the rise of the empire. And now they go back and they tinker with all this and they just don't care. They just don't care. And I know this is just a very softball example because everything is just such a mess right now. So I have a guest coming. I do. He'll be here anytime, I'm sure. I hope so. But yeah, no, I haven't been reading a lot this week because every time I open one of the new comics, it's one of the, I don't want to say it breaks the rules, but it's sort of like I just can't get into it. I know this is probably not the best thing to do when you're talking about a comic talk or talking about a comic book channel or having that kind of type of content, but I can't stand the color palettes. DC and Marvel, they're obsessed with rebooting things because they try to get all these gimmicks in there. They're all about certain characters. Like we went through the Harley Quinn phase where now everything was Harley Quinn. Right now the phase is everything is Amanda Waller. I just can't stand any of that. So of the main stuff, I will still dabble with some Marvel and DC stuff from time to time. I really want to go back and redo the Predator books because I didn't realize that they're not really new series. It's just like they're mini series. They're just not named properly. But they take whole panels off. The Alien book took off whole page. There's a whole page. There's nothing on it but satellite dishes. It's completely awful. So I have some of that kind of stuff, but I've been buying a little bit lately. So that's probably not the maybe the best strategy to be doing in a economy like this. But I got super good deals on something, so I'm kind of keeping it on the hush hush. Only Loki knows about it. I think Ironcaster probably knows, but I know Loki knows. But yeah, I have a situation right now with the personal life where I'm not out studio access, so I have to be behind an avatar. Maybe next week we'll see if we can figure out a camera situation. Right, I'm still off camera, but I could put the camera on a table where I'm at. I could probably do that. Hopefully, I can get that set up. I've had such a difficult time doing that in the past because you got to get it kind of anchored over at the right angle with the light. In the comic books, I don't want to show off. Most of them are graded, so the light refracts off the off the plastic. So yeah, but yeah, it's kind of a buyer's market. So if anybody's interested in anything, because other than well, I shouldn't say other than, because I am so excited because what happened with this whole, I should say, what is happening with this whole Energon universe they're doing with the Transformers and G.I. Joe is probably the most exciting thing I've had of something that's still considered kind of mainstream because it's technically it's Image Comics, it's Skybound. But every time I'm reading them, I want another comic book. And that is by far the best sign you can have of something that's good. I finished Gunslinger Spawn. I want to buy another book. You know what I mean? It's fun. I'm having fun. Can I critique and can I find issues? And when we hear my reviews, are you seeing me? Oh, look at this art or what? Yeah. You know what? I can go back to the old ones in that. So, but before we get to our guest, Jacob Ironside, my brother, thank you for being here. A lot of love for you, my friend, and what's your story. So, but one of my members, one of my friends, we're gonna break bread someday. Hanging out with me, Left Eye Eagle, my friend. How are you, brother? What's going on?
I'm doing good. Just want to let you and everyone else know I did not get robbed again. Okay. Been doing some reorganization around the house. Sure has a great brand new layout, and this is it. So hopefully the next time you guys see me, all the toys and action figures are up on this side.
Well, for those of you who don't know, should you at least explain what you mean when you say you don't get robbed again? Because that implies you were robbed before. So just maybe give everybody the minute and a half version of this story the best you can.
That's true. All right. So what happened is
Poor Ego got shook down at the flea market and all this. Give us all your action figures.
Exactly. Shiro found the secret bank account for my action figure. She cleaned me out. No. So when we had our apartment when we first moved to San Antonio, we were in the process of getting our house. And so she was like, hey, pack up all your action figures and comic books so we can move. So I had everything packed up. And then the Lex video that everyone saw, all my toys and my action figures were gone. And then when I went live, people were like, did you get robbed? Or Ego got robbed. So it was a running joke at the time. So I'm just letting everyone know that has listened before. If you see it again, did not get robbed again. I got to put my stuff back after we moved everything and moved the room around.
It's kind of like hashtag RIP Irene's act. So it's hashtag Ego robbed. It's okay. Yeah. But no, I got Ego, brother. Thank you for hanging out. Ego's going to come in again. I can't do show and tell right now. Even if I do, I'm still like having everybody. I heard just let members reaching out to a couple a week so that at least one of them hopefully can make it in time, and we can just kind of talk about things that they're reading, something they're enjoying, showing something off. I want to use Comic Talk. Yes, I'll probably maybe like I did with Green Arrow, have one moment to kind of vent about something, but I don't want the whole time to lead up into a massive, crap on comics and whatever. I want to be able to use it as a time to also talk about some good stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
So what is sort of at the, I don't want to say the top of the list for you, my friend, but what's going on right now where you're like, oh man, I'm doing this. I'm enjoying this.
I mean, just in general, or just like specific to the comics that we've been doing.
Well, we're talking comic books, and we can, if we have time, we can always kind of get into, something like that. But
yeah, I mean, in general, the comic books I'm reading, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really waiting to read this after I reread Blackest Night Saga. But when I was in Philly 2 months ago, I actually found this. It's the Black Ring. It's basically the Lex Luthor saga after the Blackest Night series, and it's basically the adventures of Lex Luthor, honestly. And he actually got not only one volume but a second volume. And I like the fact that this is kind of the way I'm pretty sure Lex Luthor sees Superman. And I didn't even know that this was out either. And so essentially it's Lex Luthor being changed by the events of actually getting the orange power ring. He basically goes on like a kind of a global and really multi-dimensional adventure. And so because Lex Luthor is beginning to be one of my favorite villains, just in general, not just DC or Marvel, I was like, I have to actually check this out because there aren't a lot of Lex Luthor-centric books. I mean, besides these two, I think Brian Azzarello's Luthor is a very, very insightful look on what drives Lex Luthor and slightly humanizes him a bit more than you would think. So that's more of what I'm reading there. Do you want me to keep going on? Because I got like 3 different ones, like one for DC, one for Marvel, and one independent.
I would just hold it up briefly again because I do really like the Black Ring. The Black Ring concept was really pretty cool. We touched on it briefly because if you go back and go to my channel, hit search, just put in Green Lantern or put in Blackest Night or something like that. We had a really good conversation about that story arc and stuff like that. So there is some really fun stuff to do. Who does the art on that one? I'm sorry, I don't remember. Is that Ivan Reis as well?
I think it looks like it's either Paul Cornell and Pete Woods. I'm gonna double check on here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the art is still probably pretty solid on that one, if I remember right. I briefly remember it. I don't think it really did knock my socks off. But I love how Luthor is handled when he's handled properly.
Yeah, it looks like Pete Woods is the artist. I think Kathleen Bett, Perez, Sean Chen, and Wayne Fouch did the additional art on here. Okay. But that's for that one. I think it's Yeah, it's the same one. They did both volumes. So yeah, honestly, I think for me, um, when it comes to Luther, especially with the Orange Lantern, I actually think he was a more pure Orange Lantern than Larfleeze, because Larfleeze is the one that is the avarice ring holder. But it's like, well, I'm greedy because someone took something from me. So it's like, well, it's almost like going against what you are naturally because something happened to you. Whereas Luther, it's greed for the sake of it, and you're like, that actually makes more sense to me than the alien that they gave it to. So yeah, we're right, when he's done well, it's incredibly insightful. And you almost root for Lex Luthor just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Jacob Ironsight has a really great comic. Ego got robbed by the famous action figure Cat Burglar, which is a great callback because last night I was on with Jacob and we were discussing To Catch a Thief, the Hitchcock film about a cat burglar. So, Jacob, that was really very clever. Good job, buddy. My friend.
Well done, sir.
Hashtag ego robbed. Yes.
Ego robbed.
All right. So, what you got next, brother?
All right. So, I'm going to go the more of the Marvel route now. And for that,
I'm
also got this when I was in Philly. This is Wolverine Japan's Most Wanted.
Oh man, yeah, I haven't seen that in a minute.
Yeah, so it's actually just with the Fallout in here. It's got Sabretooth on here as well, and hey, it's blood, blades, and bullet trains. So I actually like the concept of, it's not considered lost years for me, but whenever they talk about Wolverine just in Japan, they try to go over his training, and then they kind of skip over the fact that he was white, that he was married, had a wife. There's the Dakin thing that's there also, and they just kind of go off to the rest of his adventures, or they try to go all the way back to just the Logan series, where they try to introduce him from his childhood. So I like the fact that there's some history that is there. He gets to actually be both berserker and assassin.
Oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I hit the wrong button. My fault.
No, it's all good. Yeah, go ahead.
So you've read that one? You like that one?
I haven't checked it out just yet, but I mean, I like the fact that he gets to be more berserker, and I like to see him in Japan. I read the book where it was Dakin versus X-23, and I forget what island they were on, but it was kind of reminiscent of the fact that their father Wolverine both had a history there. So I like the concept of him being in Japan. It was the only Logan movie that I really would have wanted to watch when the movies came out. So it got me enough to want to actually be interested in reading it. But I guess you have read it though too, right?
No, actually, I don't think I have read this because it's Jason Aaron, and I've kind of I'm at a place where I'm not reading Jason Aaron. So I'm just curious on what your takeaway was. Had you read it? That was all. So interested to see. Okay.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think it came out in 2016, so I will give it a read and see. Like I said, I have higher hopes.
Oh, I know another reason why I didn't want to read it. Here, I'll share the page. This is just one of the pages. It just makes my head hurt because it's like a modern comic thing they'll do. So
that's probably how they got me. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is actually a page, not two pages. They will take a page and they will split it in half.
Oh, that's
so they do like this, and they don't draw the other half of the page. They put just, it's like, okay, and we're doing this. And look, I mean, you can make it work. I'm just not sure they always do. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm curious. Like some of the art, I think I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's pretty cool. I love some of the premises of it all. I wasn't totally enamored, and again, Jason Aaron's on it, so I'm going to be more enamored if you're loving it and giving it a go or something like that than I would on my own.
I think for me, I don't know when it happened or particularly what comic set it off, but I think that for Marvel, a lot of the art got more two-dimensional as it got more and more current. And so with this one, I was looking at the art, I was like, well, hey, the art actually looks three-dimensional. And if there's ever a character that you're going to have where the art should look defined, have depth, especially if you're going to show, violence, it's going to have to be a Wolverine comic. So I think the art compared to what I've been seeing currently was the reason I actually want to try it out as well. Plus, just getting a story in Japan would be a good thing for me to actually read on.
Very cool. Very cool. Did you have a hard time getting there? Did you order it online, or did you go down to?
No, I was I got those two in Philly, and it was
so
we went. Yeah. So honestly, it was the third comic book store that me and Excipitor went to. And it was kind of in the bin off to the side of the half off books, which is where me and Excipitor live because our wives see our bank statements and they see what has been spent on comics. So
Hey, that's the way to go, man. Listen. Do you have an Ollie's in Texas?
we do.
Yeah,
That
you
one
got to
joke
peruse that
in
Ollie's,
Baltimore.
man. That's the way to go. You got to get in there
I
and
know
look for stuff, and you never know.
that's where we got a lot of comics in Philly was Ollie's, and you could just
Yeah.
take them off the rack all day. So yeah, I gotta check that one out.
Yeah, we're in a rut down here where we're getting somebody's pilfering because I'm noticing I'm not seeing stuff that's not. It's mostly modern stuff. Like someone's pilfering the stuff that I was finding. I'm like, wait a minute. There's no. I was like, they had a whole bunch of Judas Contract, which is a really famous Teen Titans story. And I was like, oh man, I want to reread. I want to have that in hardback. So I could read it, give it away, it'll hold up well, that kind of thing. And I'm like, they're all gone. There was an event, like an old school Wonder Woman story that was really good. I think that was a John Byrne one. They're all gone. I'm like, what has happened? I snoozed, and oh man. So
yeah,
anyway,
it's like you have to grab it then and there because you turn around, it's gone, and then you come back and there's like 30 volumes of Star Wars, the modern one. You're like, I didn't.
Yeah, I
ask
got
for
one
this.
of those. I got one of those to give away as a gift for a relative who's into all things Star Wars. He won't care. He's not really,
I got you.
Yeah, I spoil him every Christmas or birthday. It's because he's my youngest daughter's fiance. They got married in just less than 2 months, and he got my non-graded Star Wars Dark Empire that had it has a little flaw. Like I got mine graded, so mine graded out, and I pointed out what the flaw was, and he was like, I said, here, you can just have it as part of your collection. He's like, really? Like I should pay you? I'm like, no, I bought that book at cover price back in the day.
Nice.
So there you go. Yeah. So
not bad at
all right, we got something else. What else we got?
Yes. So the other this one's more independent, and it's I guess independent. I say that when it's Image Comics, I believe.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it is. We're still going to treat them that way. We just have to, because got to be honest, they are probably the most traditional business plan that they're doing their main titles that pay the bills. Like, so you're going to see the Spawn titles, or you're going to see, a big name book. Let's say, I don't know what they're publishing. Some of the stuff is, but something that's killing the children or something like that. It's paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
And then they will publish the artsy stuff. The magenta pink book that I was complaining about 5 minutes ago. All right, that's fine. But that's the way it used to be. You would do both. But what you wouldn't do is you wouldn't let the people that were drawing the purple book, on a Spawn book. So they still have more of a traditional business model compared to Marvel and DC because it's a freaking free for all over there.
Exactly. So I mean, like I said, I like what Image has been doing, and so at least they have some of the artists cross over, like this one. One of the artists that worked on Spawn actually did this. It's actually called. I'll show you on the side here. It's called Philadelphia.
Yeah. I just saw a thing for this.
Yeah. Honestly, I will always look at something and give it a definite, honest read because my wife really likes vampire books. I think I got her to read Trece when that book came out, and we also watched the anime for it. And so she actually found this, I think, on Amazon and ordered volumes 1 and 2. Essentially, it's about a beat cop comes home, father's been murdered, and so he actually winds up going down a rabbit hole, and he gets caught up in this conspiracy involving John Adams and vampires in Philadelphia. So it sounds completely wild. But I like the way the dialogue is going on it. It's just that because it takes historic elements, there are handwritten letters. And for me, because of the way it's printed and written, it's hard to read some of the letters. And so sometimes I can be in and out of the journal entries. I'm gonna see if I could actually find it if you're looking for it too. Yeah, like he's reading.
I was just scrolling through it quickly, but now I'm going to be looking for the journal entry so I have a better way to share with everybody.
Right. And the thing that makes me upset is the fact that I learned to write cursive. I didn't know how to write in print until I was 12. So I should be able to read this in theory, but it's so darn small. I can't really read this at night or under a fixed light. I got to have some natural light and a light to actually read the rest of this because of how the print's so small. And the thing is that I know that if I try to glaze over these really long diary,
if you like vampires, though, man, that's rocking right there, man.
Yeah.
Good
That's
night.
yeah. And this is the Spawn author, I believe it, what's his name? Jason Sean Alexander, who did that. And I know that, the guy that did American Gods, Rodney Barnes, is the writer for this book. And I loved American Gods. So that was part of why I actually wanted to get in and read it. So those are my top 3 in terms of what I'm reading now for DC, Marvel, and the Independents. I probably will check in at some point and reread these because I am still waiting on Redneck to come out. That's another vampire movie involving vampires in Texas. So I'm waiting for that last volume to come out to kind of complete that. But yeah, these are my my top 3 for what I'm reading right now.
All right. That's good. I'm glad you're able to show this. I couldn't find a page that has the text like you were saying, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, there's just lots of vampire stuff for sure.
It's just cool. It's the writing in pink. I don't know if you see that where he's sitting down looking at a laptop for volume 1.
Oh, I already went past that. So let me go back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of towards the beginning. It's like some of the dialogue is in pink and it's in print, but when he's reading the journal entries, it turns into cursive. If you get a chance to see it, that's where it would be.
Where's it? On here.
If not, I'll kind of show you where I can find it.
Yeah, you'd have to show me. It's fine.
That's fine. Let me.
That's good. It's one that I had kind of. I don't know how I stumbled across it because on Image I know that they
like that. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
That's the writing, and so I'm just like and the thing is like there for one of these there's a whole. Yeah, for this part here, there's an entire thing in script, and I know that it's important. But I can't skip over it. But I'm having a hard time reading it because some of the letters are starting to run in together for me, and because it's so small, it's like I have to really focus on what I'm seeing. And this eye, it's doing everything it can to pick up what's being said. So I kind of have to go in and out on reading it.
Okay, this is completely unplanned. We have not had any conversation or what we're going to talk about. Correct.
Correct.
Okay, just so you guys know, this is not scripted or planned.
Word.
So we were walking around in Michael's. I wasn't even planning on telling the story, but it fits exactly what you're talking about. We're walking around in Michael's, and I kind of stopped, and I'm staring at this display. And of course, she's not paying attention to me. And I'm looking at the display. The display is all of these, like, have you seen these lights for like a teenager or a college student where it'll be like a neon design or something like that in cursive letters. It'll be like hello, right? Those kinds of things, right? So I'm looking at all these different ones. There's like 6 different ones, but there's this one, and I could not get my head around it. And I'm looking at it funny. And she walks back, like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Why does this one say Karina? Who is Karina? What is that all about?" She's like, "That says karma, you idiot." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm looking at it. I says, "Can you please tell me that the arm on the M doesn't look right?" She's like, "Yeah, it looks like Karina. However, you're an idiot." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "What is wrong with?" She's looking at me like you're out of your mind. I'm like, I'm sitting there in my brain going, is there like a Zoomer or something joking about? And then it hits me as I'm walking away going, why would you want a neon sign that says karma? That doesn't even make any sense.
It's worse.
That's like, that would just, yeah, I don't. So in our world, I guess I feel a little better knowing that you have a hard time with cursive writing, since that was on my recent resume of Pops' brain short circuiting and entertaining Mrs. Pops to no end. That's stuff that happens in my brain all the time, where I just see things. I really need to do a better job, because I do see a lot of YouTubers doing this, especially for their members or community people. And that's like, you'll see like a sign where the sign's got like a typo in it and stuff like that, and things like that. And share this. I see those all the time. And they bother me and they crack me up to no end. But yeah,
it'd be so hard
Karina.
not to. It'd be so hard to look at. But actually, Korea sounds very. That's more of a conversation starter than just karma. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, why does your sign say Karina? Well, let me tell you a story about Karina.
exactly, it invites itself.
Because of all the signs that were there, it was all pretty obvious stuff that made sense, right? It's just the things you would expect. It looks more like a girl's room, like a teenage girl or a college kid or whatever. And then there's
Yeah,
this one. It's like there, and it's on display, so it wasn't in a box, and it's just
yeah.
sitting there. And I'm thinking to myself, why does it
What is
say
this? Yeah,
Karina? I'm thinking to myself, because in my brain at first, I thought to myself I knew it didn't say Karen, but I thought, well, maybe it's supposed to be like a Karen joke or something. I thought, have the Zoomers taken that back, or maybe I'm like, I'm literally processing all of these like stupid theories because in my brain, never in a million years would I think that you would want a sign that said karma.
No, not at all. No, I'm not stepping in that room. If that's what you add on there is karma. No, no way.
Well, I think I need to send you one now because I need to find out. I forgot about during Christmas, which is ironic because we saw one. I need to get you the glowworm for Christmas. I forgot to send it to you. I got to get you the
Oh
glowworms. That's a
yeah, it's a
callback to a
glowworm.
different stream. That's a
Yes,
callback to a
sir.
different stream. But now there's a Karma, Karina. So, so it can guard your action figures from theft from the cat burglar.
Yes, my glowworm.
Karina. Karina. Oh,
We're gonna name the glowworm
world.
Korea.
Oh, it's so great. I'm gonna take a picture of it now when we go back over there because
Okay.
that's just some crazy thing. I just didn't know what to say. You know, I was and she is so patient with me because she knows how my brain will work like that. Like I'll just completely because you know how long you guys have been married for a little bit now, haven't you?
Yeah, like around 3 years now.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
That's long enough for her to like pick up on the mannerisms when you're not
It
listening
is.
anymore. And
Yes.
she knows that you're thinking about something completely different. And yeah, because I have that
Oh,
too. That's my ADD's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll watch me have a completely different conversation with myself, me not paying attention or noticing she's there. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You know what? I was having a whole conversation with myself. You snapped me out of it." But yeah, she knows better now. Like, so yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's interesting those dynamics between men and women and how that operates. And then, of course, when you spend enough time with somebody, they just pick up on all. Because I can look at her and just know, all right, I don't want to say, what are you thinking? I usually just tell me about the lists. What are you running through? Like, because they have like spaghetti
Oh
brain,
my
right? So
god.
yeah, because for them it'll be because okay, if they were to take the conversation we just had about Karina and the Michaels, you would tell she wrote the story. She'd be like, "Oh, that's so funny, Karina. Why would anybody have a Karina line at Michaels? I need to go to Michaels. They have poster board and markers. I need that for that project at work. And oh my God, work. That lady, oh my God, Linda sits across from me. I'm so sick and tired of her and her attitude, sassing me all the time, and I can't get through my day without coffee. Oh my God, did I write coffee on the list? Because I need to make sure I get some creamer this week because I know that the ego used it all up. We got the coffee was BOGO over at Publix. I got to get 2 coffees and a creamer. In fact, let me text him right now and find out if he can go by and give. That's how their brains work. That is how their brains work.
So I literally, we had my mother-in-law came to visit yesterday, right? So I'm actually doing some training modules for work. And so I told her, like, hey, look, I know you're going to bed. I'm just going to be up late doing the modules. I knew if I stayed up past a certain point doing the modules, she was going to be upset and be like, you took forever to come to bed. So I'm like, to get around this argument, I'm going to clean the guest room in preparation for the mother-in-law coming here and not tell her so she can get mad at me tonight. And then tomorrow, when she's like, oh, I got to clean the room, she opens it up and it's clean. Now she's not mad at me. But she's going to be mad at me because she knows that I did that on purpose to avoid her being mad at me for staying up too late. So yes, I get what you're saying. It's you got to run. Yes, I told her, and she got mad because she knew that's what I was doing.
That's a pretty big 4D chess move right there. That's
yes,
a pretty big 4D chess.
Yes, I laughed about it for 20 minutes after she found out. It was great. If you ever have a chance to listen to a comedian, you will probably like Steve Trevino. He's actually a comedian from San Antonio, and 80% of his jokes are about married life. And so, yes, and it's absolutely hilarious because if you've been married, all of his jokes are completely hysterical. So yes, if you get a chance, just Steve Trevino, clean comedy, hilarious. If you get a chance to watch him.
Wonder if I've seen him on like Dry Bar Comedy or something like that. I might have seen him. Might have to.
Maybe
Yeah.
I know that he's got a YouTube channel, and we saw him in Philly, and we're gonna go see him this weekend in San Antonio. But yeah, 80% of his jokes are just living with your wife. It's funny. Like my wife Shiro is actually on a DIY craze now, so she'll just be like, I wonder if that beam's load bearing or not. And I'm like, please don't try to test and see if our house wall is load bearing without bringing someone in. She's like, I gotta figure it out. I checked it up on YouTube, and I'm like, oh my god. So, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I'll take the positives of the DIY project, which is this room. So
Wow.
can't be.
Well, she's down that rabbit hole completely because of the farm and everything like that. She's just at a different level, the next level. Yeah, I try to not get 4D chess with her like that because I usually feel, because usually what happens in my brain is I will talk myself into the Jeff Foxworthy gag of you're just trying to get like a kudos, like it's, hey baby, don't worry about it. I emptied that ashtray next to the TV. It's some sort of like cheesy thing that you did that didn't really help out in the grand scheme of things, but you wanted kudos for it. That's how I always talk myself into doing. When in fact I'm just like, nah, I just do crap. I don't even. But I would get caught. Like she'll just be like, we have like a side by side. It's like a 4-wheeler thing. It's like, she just knew that I moved it. Like she could just tell I didn't park it the same way. She's like, "Why did you drive that? Where did you go?" They were gone. I went, and I said, yeah. I drove down and I cut the limbs off this tree because we talked about doing it, and I knew we'd forget, whatever. She's like, "Oh, okay." I didn't get a kudos or nothing, and I don't want any, but I didn't know how to tell her that I did it. I just tried to do it. So.
Yeah. Oh man, hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zach's. By the way, I will be on with Zach's. So I will have a special nap time. I will plan to be there on, I believe it is the 8th. No, the 7th. The 7th. We'll talk about The Bear, possibly the best show in a long time. Yeah. Wow, the show is so good.
Yeah.
However, I will say I have some issues with the finale. I just have a hard time with it. Poor Copa. We were going back and forth on this. 7th. Yeah.
Oh wait, which part of I'm sorry to just jump in. Which part of the finale did you have trouble with?
All right, so
just the execution.
If you don't, I know it's blue. It isn't blue. Again, this is me nitpicking, and probably in some ways I get it, and it is a creative choice. Okay, so from fishes to forks, I think it's called Bolognese, whatever that episode is. It's some of the best television ever, right? It's fantastic, right? We get to the finale. Yeah. Okay, it's going to be family and friends night. It goes completely nuts. It goes bonkers. Then he gets himself locked into the freezer, and then everyone changes stations, and everyone starts to excel at tasks and stuff that they've learned from previous episodes in ways that they did not plan on using those skills. Like everyone excelled in a way that was exemplified by what he had done to them by sending them to different restaurants for training and different things, and how he had encouraged them in all these different ways. And it manifests itself in this incredible performance where everyone steps up in all these different ways and creative ways. It's really magnificent. And then for some reason, the episode kind of stops and decides that it is going to derail all of that and embrace the dysfunction of the mother as the metaphor for him, like Carmi, right? So he's trapped in the freezer and he's not worthy of love, and he starts talking crap and talking smack and can't have joy, and he drives the girlfriend away, and then Richie calls him Donna, and next thing you know, they're cursing at each other. It undoes this incredible success story. And what I would have done would have just been like, and first off, it's and Copa doesn't. Copa's like they brought this up. It was a callback. Okay. I've been around fridges and freezers in the medical field. Right? They have a plunger. They have a plunger on the inside. Even when I ran a restaurant and that freezer was probably from the 70s, it had you could get out. You can get out. It's exceedingly weird to have being locked in a freezer. Like they should have done something where the freezer is damaged or something, or it was sabotaged by the brother for a reason or something. But anyway, so he's out of the freezer. and he could have seen this massive success, seen them all succeed in different ways. The plumber, the maintenance guy is in the front of the house, and Richie's running the front end, and so on. So it was really great. And instead, it was embracing dysfunction, and it was undoing some of the successes of the great storytelling and things like that. And they easily could have had a great way to create more dysfunction, because this isn't even the live date. They got to go live tomorrow, right? And that's the end of the season. I would have rather have seen Claire be the one to figure out how to get him out. Like, it would have been it would have even made it cooler to see her like, well, if you did this, how'd you know that? Well, in medical school, we use the chest separator, and the chest separator would get. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm nitpicking a creative choice, not saying this show sucks or anything like that. I didn't like that negativity that undoes, like, yes, Zach's, the brilliance between fishes and forks. And actually, the episode after that, I really do have a lot of love. I'm going to make sure I get the name of that episode right. They're perfect with how they just continue to build on one another and deal with different character arcs and development and stuff like that. And it was just fantastic. It really, really is.
I was going to say, I
it's all 4 episodes, because it's fishes, forks, it's bolognese, and then omelet. And omelet, I didn't think I was liking, except that it kind of works through Carmi and apologizing to Sydney and the lack of focus, which sets up that final sequence where, but again, by the end of the episode, she's puking. She's undone what she had succeeded at. I didn't like that negativity part. That's all.
I think that I see what you mean, and I hear you on that. I would have liked to have seen the chaos and dysfunction of success. You know what I mean? Instead of things devolving when they go bad, everyone kind of reverts to season 1. Them, it's like, well, in all the episodes, you've shown us that, hey, if I've got the time and training to do this, and I'm confident in what I'm doing. Not saying that what you do should work 1-to-1, but you've given me enough skills in my character development to build on the success. Not saying things are going to run seamlessly. There should be a point at which you have the a moment where you think they're going to revert, and they show you like, oh no, I'm not, Jimmy from season 1, I'm Jimmy from season 2. I dress professionally because I feel good about myself.
100%. Like, so
right.
Sydney is the best example, right? Because she's hallucinating that the printer is still going, and that causes her to puke. But she just had stacked some evidence that she's overcome that. So if she had that hallucination and then she takes a breath, and she should have had like the Mike Krzyzewski flashback. That's been the life lesson that she's been training for this moment of that. She's stacking the evidence of building a team and doing that, right? And then with Richie, he snaps and calls him Donna, and it's an F-bombs. It's like, wait, no. That's the old Richie, not Richie now. Something that simple. He should have been able to drop wisdom to go, look, dude, no. Claire can be good for you, and this can be good for you. This is, he almost could be the person. And I wanted Carmi to have to deal with the dysfunction of how wrong he is about everything, because he thought he had all this stuff to do. Anyway, so we're nitpicking a show's sort of like creative choices, because I do get the concept of the freezer and the prison of his emotions. I get all that. I would have just preferred something a little bit different. And I'm with you. The chaos is still tomorrow night. This is still not. This is still not game day. So there was still plenty of opportunity there to let this devolve and be a struggle back and forth of slipping into your old ways.
Yes, at a certain point, it's like you have to. I do like that they're doing great character development. I'm not saying everything has to be perfect season over season, but at least for a few of them, you could have had some of the characters remind them, like, hey, have a code word. Like they do the sorry thing a lot, which is it literally is sign language for I'm sorry, but they could have had like, hey, try. Like that's sign language for try. If things aren't going your way, hey, it's okay. Try again.
Yeah.
There wasn't a physical callback for the mental lapses, or I guess it's the mental struggles that we're having during the opening. There wasn't a physical representation of, hey, someone else sees that I'm spiraling and they're not spiraling with me or spiraling off. And like that was the problem season 1, is that you're trying to put all these people together and everyone spirals differently, but they spiral all the same. But for this one, it's like, well, hey, I've gotten better at knowing when I've got a problem with something, so I can notice when you're spiraling and say, "Hey, come back, try." Be focused in the moment. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with asking that of the characters for season 2.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's such a great show. Pete
Yeah,
brother-in-law
it's
in the
fantastic.
finale. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Good show. It's gonna be good. Yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
we derailed our comic talk into bear talk, and that's a sneak preview of being on with Zax in a little over a week, or about a week.
Nice. Can't wait for
2
that.
weeks. 2 weeks, right? Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Next week's comic talk, I may go live, just do something live with somebody. We're not sure yet. We don't have really worked out. Again, that's why I'm pre-recording segments to make it manageable with different things that are going on in the personal life. And I don't know if you heard me, but right now I still enjoy some of the Spawnverse stuff, but really this stuff that's going on with G.I. Joe and Transformers is kind of like the most fun that I've had in quite a
Really?
while. Oh, it's a blast. Oh my gosh. It's so good. They put G.I. Joe and Transformers in the same universe, and it's just a blast.
I
It's like
heard about
80s.
that.
Yeah. So it started with Transformers, and then Duke shows up, and then Duke has a comic book, and then there's a teaser for Cobra Commander. Now he has a comic book. So, oh man,
I
bro,
heard
it's
about that one to Cobra.
so
Yeah.
good. It's just fun. And you know what? It makes me want to buy a comic book. When Transformers 4 was popped up, and I'm reading it, and I'm like a giddy little kid, like reading this book, and she's like, and she had this look, and I said, I just want another one. I just want another book. This is what it's supposed to be like. I can't wait to get the next issue. And and then I read Cobra Commander, and then I went back and I read all the Transformers and Duke again because I was so excited about
Wow.
playing in this universe. It's very simplistic. It's not perfect. They do take panels off. Yes, the colors are a little wacky at times. It does break
Mhm.
some of the pop's rules. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's fun, and fun is hard to find sometimes.
Okay.
That's
I
for
like
sure.
that. I mean,
So
I like the fact you said simple. I can read that all day. I prefer closed end stories where everyone either knows what's going on or we follow one person who's finding everything else out where everyone knows what's going on. So yeah, I can appreciate that.
the complexity in it is very subtle. It'll be like
Okay.
a callback in issue 4 of Transformers that really calls back to like issue 1 or 2, things like that. It's
Okay.
it's really good stuff and nuanced. It's not what you would expect, that's for sure. So that's kind of at
Like
the
it.
top of the joy button list right now is that kind of stuff, Spawn stuff. And I've been
Nice.
looking and reading older stuff like I always do.
Okay.
Just the joy of the 90s, the joy of certain stories and things like that. So people were
Yeah.
excited for Transformers. I'm glad they hit a home run. I'm
Mhm.
telling you what, man, it's like I said, it is fun. And I even with issue 1, I think I think I did in my review, I think you'll hear some hesitation in my voice, like I'm not totally sold. And some of the art's a little, is he getting a little over the skis? Like you just don't know, right? But once you get into it a little bit, you can see the passion, the love um, of really Optimus Prime. I mean, he really
Okay.
he's taking Optimus Prime to a level of leadership and stuff that you want to see, and it's so great. And
Okay.
then to juxtapose that with the GI Joe story arc and trying to expand things differently was very fun, a lot of fun. Yeah,
It
definitely some of
sounds
the
like
most
it
fun that
does
I'm
go
having right now.
together, right?
There has been stuff that has been done together. In fact, I think Bobby Wolt's here on my channel regularly.
Yeah.
He's a massive Joe fan.
Okay.
And he messaged me about if I do a Saturday morning cartoon watch. He gave me the season number, episode number, where there's sort of like a connected universe moment or something like that. So
Okay.
it's not unheard of. And actually, this is the kind of thing that was been talked about on and off again for 10 years. They also
Really?
have other. Hasbro. The Hasbro properties also has other stuff. Like I know there was talk about Micronauts, which
Mm.
is this crazy cool toy when we were like little kids. Like it was they were really like when Star Wars toys were a big deal, these
Okay.
Micronaut toys. And you have to look up Micronauts, guys, if you don't know anything
Oh,
about them.
yeah. Go
Um,
ahead.
they're massively articulated. Like
Really?
Star Wars figures weren't, Star Wars figures were not always well articulated. Here, I'll pull them up. You guys can see a little bit. Let's see if we can find something we can see. So this is the Hasbro ones right here. And when there's talks about it, but see here the Micronauts, you can see they have
Mhm.
joints, so they have elbows and they have
I
ankles
see
and
what you
knees,
mean.
things like that. Very well articulated. And they had
Okay.
really cool they had really cool ships that the Star Wars figures would fit in. So in my
Oh,
world,
okay.
when I had them, they all played together. Yeah, they had like
Nice.
spring-loaded ships that would just shoot apart. So
That's
anyway,
cool.
with that, folks, listen, head on over to Stone Cold Loki to have some more comic book talk. He's starting the roundtable right about now. Head over there, enjoy that. And guys, just thanks for hanging out with me. Ego, my brother, thank you so much. I will add all of
Anytime.
Ego's stuff to the description if you're watching this after the fact, so you can make sure you check out his channel and connect with him, and you can hear him talk more about the Cat Burglar and, of course, reviewing these great comics like Philadelphia. It'll be awesome, man. Listen, brother, thanks for hanging out with me, man. Everybody else out there, you guys take care, have fun, head on over to Loki's, and I don't know, hopefully I set that up right so it'll send you over there. But take care, guys. Talk to you soon. I am Pops.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.